but can the new ones survive? From ABC News, this is Start Here. I'm Brad Milkey. We talk about the national response to COVID-19 all the time, how America has handled it, as well we should. The U.S. is home to about 4% of the world's population and nearly 20% of its COVID deaths. But we don't really have a national response. In New York, leaders are planning to shut down schools again if they hit a 3% positivity rate. That's what they're scared of.
It's no surprise to anyone here in the room that my preference has always been messaging over mandates.
In South Dakota, the positivity rate right now is close to 60%. If someone gets a COVID test in South Dakota, it is more likely than not going to come back positive. And yet, forget schools. Until yesterday,
Él es un niño.
in South Dakota that you had to wear a mask around your coworkers. Even when Tulsa, Oklahoma was surging, Oklahomans had never been prevented from eating at a restaurant indoors, just had not been seen as an issue.
Effective Thursday, restaurants must ensure that all tables are 6 feet apart.
But this week, in many of those states, a switch has flipped.
Tonight, more states imposing restrictions. Just today, new curfews in Ohio and Maryland now. And the governor of Iowa tonight, who railed against masks, calling them a feel-good measure, now mandating masks in her state.
On the scale of green, yellow, red, 47 out of 50 states right now are in the red zone when it comes to new cases. Officials are worried and they're beginning to yank ripcords. But best case scenario, even if everyone stops interacting with people, the numbers might go down in a week or two. And after a year of conflicting messages, a lot of people just aren't going to stop interacting, which is starting to lead to scenes like this.
It's happening everywhere. This nurse in Nebraska exhausted.
We have, I think they said 10 COVID units, and one of those is just a place for people to go and pass away, unfortunately.
Patients are pouring into hospitals across the country, and medical staffs are trying to help them just as they were a few months ago. But at St. Mary Medical Center yesterday in Pennsylvania, nurses said they were overwhelmed and walked off the job. They went on strike.
Tú eres un hombre.
Today, and we have one of those nurses with us right now.
Tú
Jim Gentile is a registered nurse at St. Mary's. This is in Bucks County, just north of Philadelphia. Jim, where are you right now?
So right now we're at the strike line in front of the hospital.
Oh, so you're right there.
Juan,
What is your job in a normal week, and how have you seen a change over the last days or weeks?
What happens when COVID hit? I work in surgical services.
manzanas.
We suspended all
Él come
elective
manzanas.
elective surgeries.
Él come
All
manzanas.
surgeries were
Come.
suspended.
Es
And then we were
manzanas. Él
taken to different floors.
come
We were sent out to other floors, all
manzanas.
COVID floors, night shift, etc. And we were taking care of those patients. It was so bad. I did postpartum care on more bodies in 2 months than I
manzanas.
have in 42 years of nursing. That's how bad it was.
And that's like not your job.
Ella es una
No,
mujer.
that's not my job. Usually we wake people up from
Ella
surgery and everybody's happy and we
es
send them home.
Una
So this was
mujer.
really quite a shift.
Ella
When we opened back up
es
for surgeries
una
around
mujer.
July, we all came back to the units. We all started doing surgeries again, and with the uptick of COVID now,
Ella es una mujer.
we're being threatened again, where we're going to have to suspend elective surgeries because in 2 weeks our numbers have doubled.
So is there a thought that you go
Tú eres una mujer.
COVID patrol?
Correct,
If those numbers
correct.
keep rising.
Correct. If the shutdown occurs again, we will again be taken out of our area of expertise and put back up on the floors to take care of the COVID patients.
Right. So then,
Eres
why are you outside
una
the hospital right
mujer.
now, not inside the hospital?
So the reason we formed the union from the very beginning was safe staffing. The way you get safe staffing is they have to commit to a certain nurse-patient ratio on different floors, and then it has to be enforceable. And if those ratios go below what we've all agreed
Él come
in the
manzanas.
hospital, then they have to hire nurses in to fill those vacancies, or they have to bring in agency nurses. And that was the sticking point. So once we got past that, we had language in the contract, the temporary agreement,
Come
that, okay, they're
manzanas.
going to agree to some accountability on staffing grids. We said, great, now what are the wages? When they showed us the wages, we realized no nurses are going to come to our institution with wages
Manzanas.
this low.
Come.
So, but you need more staff to handle the surge that you're about to see at the hospital.
Ella es
You're
una
like,
niña.
well, what if the wages are too low to have anyone join the staff?
Nobody's going to come. We're not going to be able to recruit. We're not going to be able to retain. What's happened in the past year, we've brought in new nurses. We've trained them. And then what happens, neighboring hospitals like Doylestown or Capital Health across the river, they come up with $6 to $7 increases for these nurses, and these nurses bail. They go to these other hospitals because now they've been trained, now they have experience, and they bail. So
How many are we talking about?
243 in the last 2 years
243 nurses have left?
have left in the last 2 years. What we did then is we put a strike notice in. We realized COVID is upticking. We have done, in 2 weeks, we've doubled the number of COVID patients in our hospital. And we thought we have to sound the alarm now because there are not enough nurses to take care of the patients. If you have 6-to-1 ratio and they're all COVID patients and one starts to go bad, you spend the next 2 hours with that one patient. Those other 5 patients
Él es
are
un
totally
niño.
ignored. It's dangerous.
Well, so then, like, so I get what that means for you, and I'm sympathetic to that. I'm also sympathetic to the patients. Like, is this strike good for the patients that you're worried about? Because the question I'm trying to ask is someone going to die because of this strike?
That's a very good question, and it's one that's actually plagued us all summer.
Es
We thought, do we do this? When do we put our foot down and say enough is enough? It's the leverage. It's the only leverage we have as nurses. Right now, we don't have a voice. We're raising the alarm now. We're putting our foot down now because we know it's going to get twice this.
Tú eres una mujer.
I was going to say that seems like the frustration is like you guys have never been more valuable than ever, so to feel undervalued now that's the slap in the face.
Absolutely. And we've watched friends, co-workers die. It's a really hard thing. I'm talking to a friend of mine who's a nurse. Her husband's in ICU. I'm talking to her through a glass. Her husband's dying. She's in a step-down unit. And she says, I can't be with him. I can't be with him. So I spent 45 minutes talking to her on a phone, looking through glass, helping her process the dying of her husband, who's the floor above her. It shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be.